President's speech, but the King's speech that everybody in Hollywood was talking about today. The historical drama netted 12 Oscar nominations this morning, more than any other movie from 2010.
Yeah, it's about the King of England's struggle with the stuttering problem in the years leading up to World War II. But if it weren't for a woman from
Baltimore,
you got it, the king wouldn't have been the king in the first place.
ABC 2 News' Christian Schaefer picks up the story from here. Chris?
Yeah, guys, the focus of that movie is King George VI, Colin Firth's character. But it was almost unheard of that that man would have ever become king. It was much more likely that he would remain plain old Prince Albert, and that stuttering problem might have been forgotten by history. That was until Wallis Simpson from Baltimore came into the picture. She sparked one of the biggest scandals in British history, a pretty darn good movie, and a question. Who was Wallis Simpson? The dress is one of a kind.
All the embroidery is done on this single layer of silk organza.
They call it the monkey dress. Pure silk embroidered with monkeys playing musical instruments. Experts can't even put a price on what it might be worth. And like everything Wallis Simpson wore after marrying the one-time King of England, it's just about perfect.
I think she was looked to as someone whose style set a precedent for what fashionable women were wearing.
Simpson donated the dress to the Maryland Historical Society back in 1960.
She was dressing herself like a queen, and I can't help but think that there's a little bit of her that, even though she felt that her status merited that kind of appearance.
But Wallis Simpson was never going to be the Queen of England. In the movie The King's Speech, you see the spark between Simpson, played by Eve Best, and King Edward VIII, played by Guy Pearce.
Wallis Simpson.
Mark Letzer of the Maryland Historical Society says Simpson was in England with her second husband when she met the future king.
This is a huge problem. He could not marry her. She was twice divorced. She wasn't even allowed to be at court. Having been twice divorced, she wouldn't have been received. So, yes, this changes everything.
The king decided to give up his throne and marry Wallis Simpson. Incredible for a girl who grew up here on Biddle Street in Mount Vernon. She came from a prominent family, but her father died when she was an infant. Her mother relied on other family members to support them. Even after taking the title Duchess of Windsor, she never forgot where she came from.
I think it was very clear that she was from Baltimore. She did visit Baltimore. She was feted several times when she came here. She had friends on the Eastern Shore.
Critics consider Wallis Simpson one of history's biggest gold diggers, but Letzer believes once you get past the Baltimore roots, royal intrigue, and fancy clothing, it's a love story.
She's been vilified, through the last 75 years as being the woman who, dethroned a king, but we forget that that really was also his ultimate choice.
Wallis, Duchess of Windsor, and her husband spent the better part of 3 decades living in France and the United States before he died in 1972. She died back in 1986. Much more information on her life at the Maryland Historical Society. We're going to set up a link on our website, abc2news.com. Christian Schaefer, ABC 2 News.
Looks like